Hello and welcome to DCP SideQuest episode number 54, a pre-July episode. This is the episode that gets you warmed up for July, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-July is
pre-July.
Yeah. I like it.
This is your July spoiler episode. If you want to experience July fresh without knowing what's going to happen, turn off right now.
Step away from the episode.
We're about to spoil the hell out of July.
We
got a pre-release code for July, and I got to tell you, whew,
it's still bad.
Wow.
It's still bad.
2020 still being 2020, man. Whoa.
Is this the month where the aliens arrive? Come on.
It would make sense.
On the aliens turning up.
Right? It would make sense. The 4th of July, Independence Day. They'd be like, the aliens show up and they're like, we watched Independence Day, so we thought you'd want it this time, all right?
Around this turns out Will Smith was trying to warn us.
Yeah, it's true. But for any of the aliens listening, like I'm on your side, right? So when you land down, I'm chill.
You can just take me. Just take me. Just take me.
That as well. I hope
Maybe I could be like the first streamer from alien spaceships.
What kind of alien video games you got? What's your concept, huh?
Can I still play Ghost of Tsushima if I leave with you on July 4th? That's my favorite.
I'm assuming they got some sort of augmentation chamber, or a stasis chamber.
The ghost.
So like you get
like the holodeck.
Yeah, well, definitely a holodeck, but also some sort of chamber that you go in, and you also get augmented with like actual technology because they're aliens. Whoa. And they're like, well, clearly we already know your entire genome and how your body is set up because we're aliens and super futuristic and crap. So then
we put you here 100,000 years ago, so we know all about
it. Exactly.
You're like, here's the timeline.
I've seen
it. When you sit to one of the old aliens, he'll be like, "Let me show you my retro console." And he brings out like a PS10, and it's like, "This is retro." Yeah.
Originally, we were just here to pick up Bigfoot, but man, with what you guys been going through, we got some shit for you too.
Oh man,
imagine that.
I'll go happily.
Eric's, was your chair always yellow?
It was not.
What is that?
It's the Cyberpunk chair. Look at that.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Real.
Where is DCP's Cyberpunk chair?
Should I spin it around so you can see that it's also got a samurai skull on the back?
Oh my god.
Oh.
That's badass.
It's not bad, eh?
Badass.
I was worried
they have been working with NVIDIA, putting out those RTX graphics cards that are Cyberpunk branded.
Making me extremely jealous.
Yeah, man. Like every time I see it,
nice.
I usually, like you see those tweets, they're like retweet and like this for a chance to win. I never do it.
Good.
But I do for those.
Good. Good. The amount of random people who tag me in their giveaways, I'm going to start tagging the people who tag me. I'm going to keep a list.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, tag 2 friends. Here are my 2 friends. Take a bet.
I'm only going to tag people I don't like.
And then they'll win and they'll be like, this is kind of awkward. I didn't actually want you to win, but yeah.
My gift to you is endless spam.
That's great.
Oh my.
Yeah, they had done that thing a couple months ago, or in March, and apparently they had more of those 2080 Ti's. I'm wondering if they're going to do a 3080, Cyberpunk edition, since that might be coming.
Be able to buy.
Maybe, right?
I don't know that I buy one though. Like I would definitely love it if I want it, but I don't know if I buy like a branded Cyberpunk. Because I'd have to redo like the entire inside of my PC.
That's true.
New lighting, matching motherboard colors.
The color of my lights.
You could go yellow.
The Aura app.
Yeah. Just yellow up on the lights.
I know what you mean though. Yeah. It's like
do you guys
change? You need like a build, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys change the color of your RGB lighting depending on the season?
Nope.
Not the season.
Yeah, me neither.
Mine is red, and red.
And yellow.
Right now, mine is green and purple for spring. It's kind of like a spring.
Oh, kind of like cherry blossoms. Cherry blossom briar.
But now it's summer, so I've been thinking about like some oranges and some greens, and I don't know.
So you do a Christmas special where it's like red and white or something.
Uh-huh.
Oh, nice. Okay,
I feel you on that. Yeah,
And a Halloween special?
Yeah. there's certain festiveness that I can get behind, but not every season for me. It's usually the same colors for the most part.
I think the problem is that my office is very dark. So like any kind of like mood lighting, I think helps kind of brighten it up. And
Right, you know what I got, which I think you might like. It's not here yet. It's getting delivered tomorrow, but it is it's a glitter lava lamp.
You are correct. I would like that.
That does sound badass.
It looks really cool. It puts this like really cool glittery lighting around, and it's just gorgeous.
Damn
it! Oh, like it reflects the light around the room with the glitter.
Yeah.
I need one of those for the music studio.
That sounds kind of awesome. I remember when I was a kid, I always wanted a lava lamp. My mom was always like, no, you can't have one because they get hot and you'll burn yourself. And I'm like, but mom.
Yeah, they're fire hazard, like those old school ones are fire hazard.
Yeah, but they look so cool. Like I know whether you got them in the States, but in the UK we have one of those kind of sort of weird like gadgety style shops with the kind of silly gadgets where like you'd always go there at Christmas time and they have all like the lava lamps and like the weird flying drones and stuff, and I'd always be like, I want it. Never got one. Never to this day. And now I'm a grown man. I should just buy my own one, but I just feel like the time's passed. But maybe not.
It's not. It's never too late. All right.
It's never too late.
No,
I'm telling you, I thought the same thing. I was like, man, lava lamps is so cool. And now I just realized I want lava lamps again. So I might even buy a few. I might start putting them everywhere.
Remember those like they were like globes, and they had like I don't know what it was called, like a diode or something, and you touch them and electricity goes from like the inside your finger. Yeah. My kid got one of those one Christmas and I played with it more than he did.
Oh, those things are amazing.
Yeah, those are
got the cat. I'm like, look, cat, put your paws on this.
Honestly, my cats might kind of enjoy playing with that.
Oh, yeah.
Around.
Fascinating.
That's great.
They might play with the glitter lamp. I didn't think this through.
Yeah, they might knock it over, right? You don't want that.
Something's wrong with my camera here. Let me fix this up a little bit. Oh, there we go.
Narc.
Sorry about that.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Before we get further in the show, we wanted to point out that when we do get to Last of Us, we are going to give you a clear indication of when we're talking spoilers. So if you haven't finished it yet, like that's going to be later in the show, later in the program.
At the end.
Yeah, more towards the end. But we will definitely give you a warning that we're going to go full on spoilers in that. So just want to give you guys a heads up. We got other things to talk about first, specifically Cyberpunk, right? Eric, you got to play it.
Cyberpunk.
I got to play it. Yeah, 4 hours. Whew.
Nice.
4 hours.
Just 4 hours
How did
in
you
your
play
house.
This was like a game streaming service that you played it on?
Yeah, so a few companies have been doing this where they would normally have done like capture events this year. They've set up remote events where they basically in their office they've all got it all set up and stuff. But yeah, we just we log in and stuff, and then there's normally like a developer just sitting watching your screen, and then it actually works quite well. I mean, like on your end when you're playing, there's like ever so slight, maybe like one. Again, I'm never like that. I don't notice that stuff too much, but there's like a little bit of a delay, like kind of a few milliseconds and whatnot. And then in terms of like visual quality, the stuff that you see on your end playing remotely is ever so slightly lower quality. But then because I've done these events like in a couple of different ways. Like when I played, what was the game I played the other day? Oh, when I did like the Outrider stuff, we did that as well. And then when it's a capture event, they record on their end and then send you the footage. And then when you get the footage, it's all crispy and nice.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously when you play it, but it still looks great when you're playing it. But it's just not like quite that kind of crispness that you would obviously get.
It's compression.
But yeah, so it's really good. But yeah, so the structure of what we got to play was we had to play from the very beginning of the game. So obviously I didn't get to, because if any of you guys have seen the E3 demos they did, what they typically did was they would always start the demo, like run through a little bit, and then they'd be like, we're going to swap to a high level character and show you loads of fancy things. We didn't get to do that in this one. So everything I did was very grounded, very like, this is the beginning of the game. Really cool. But I didn't get to experiment with any of the stuff like crazy arm blades, crazy like over the top cybernetic abilities and stuff. It was very much like the beginning. But it was awesome. Like honestly, for a game that we've all been very, very looking forward to, and just kind of, it's one of those kind of things where it's quite hard to jump into games like this because they're so heavily story driven and there's so much stuff you just want to uncover to try and really get a feel for it. But I think back to when I played, I haven't finished it yet, but I think back to when I played like Witcher 3, for example, that starts quite slowly. But this one, I feel like I was almost the pace is almost quite like it picks up quite fast from the very beginning. You're just thrown into it, and there's like a lot of stuff happening in the city, and suddenly you're like, oh, we're going already, kind of thing. So it felt really good.
Okay.
Play it with mouse and keyboard or with a controller?
This one controller. We had to play controller for this one. So yeah. But it was So obviously some of the things we kind of got to do. So we start from the beginning, and obviously got to create a character. There's a load of character creation options, which is really cool because I knew before they obviously had some creation options, but when they showed the previous E3 demos, like I never knew to what extent. I was like, oh, maybe they've got a few pre-made plans for V and stuff, which is fair enough. But then no, they're full blown like choose your face, choose your hair, adjust your nose, your face, your lips, your ears, your eyebrows. Your genitals if you decide.
I mean, it's Cyberpunk,
like Conan style. Adjust my genitals.
Apparently there are. So here's the thing: I didn't get to this point because I was in a really weird situation because the developer's watching your screen. You're scrolling through character creation. I'm like, all right, I'll adjust my beard, I'll adjust my hair, I'll adjust my face, and I'm like, wait. I don't really want to adjust this right now because this is going to be really weird. So it only occurred to me afterwards because there's actually a selection. Like you don't have to go through that process. Like it's off by default, and then you can turn it on. So I don't know whether by being off by default I made my dude without a Cyber Junior, or whether it just means that I haven't done adjustments.
Cyber Junior.
I don't quite know because
a little punk.
Yeah, the little punk, exactly. I just don't know because it's like off by default. I think it might mean it's off by customization by default. So you just get the
I think there's an interesting backstory of why you wouldn't have one. You're a stone cold killer. You don't want to be distracted by the wants and needs of the human body.
It's true, right? I just traveled the world. So I'll never actually know. But I have since like from some of the previews from the journalists. Yeah, there seem to be. I think there's like 2 or 3 different styles, and then there's different hairstyles and stuff. So yeah, there's some stuff down there.
For the junior?
Hairstyles for the junior.
Yeah. So there's some stuff going on there. Yeah, but hey, the more important thing. They got beards. They got legitimate beards.
On the junior?
Not on the junior. Well, maybe. I didn't go that far, you see. So maybe. But no, they have a genuine beard, which is good because there are so many games where they're like, hey, we got beards. And then, I mean, this is no disrespect to anyone that's got chin strap beards, but when it's just a chin strap beard, that's not a goatee. That's just not beard. It's not beard. So they've got them. They've got them. And you get to like choose all like the cybernetic like parts around your face and stuff. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. And then when you go to your character, obviously you have all the
Does it have RGB?
Sadly not. Unfortunately. No seasonal face
that's
RGB.
For next gen. That's a next gen
yeah,
thing.
Maybe it's late game upgrades. You upgrade to RGB, face and arm and all that.
There you go. Yeah. So you do that, and then obviously you spend some points in like your character stats. So it's broken down to like the kind of typical things like body, which is for like physical strength, and you've got like intelligence and hacking, all those things like that. And then you just get dropped into the game. But you have to choose. One of the really cool things is obviously so when you create your character, you have to choose a backstory. So you have Nomad, who are kind of like living on the outskirts, kind of bottom of the pile, bottom of like the economic pile and stuff. And then you have like the street kids growing up on the street, kind of like gangs and whatnot. And then you have the Corpse, who are like the kind of rich business people and whatnot. And depending on what you choose, your game begins differently. And then also throughout the game, you'll have different encounters. So if ever you're getting to a point where you're in a corporate environment and you grew up on the streets, you're probably not going to have like the lingo to navigate your way around like these fancy business calls. But on the flip side, if you grew up on the street and suddenly like a gang rolls up on you, you can probably like talk your way out of it. So that part of it is really cool.
That's
but the fact
cool.
that the whole game begins, yeah, exactly, right? So, and that's the one thing. It's like I was sort of saying this to people the other day. Like I rarely go back and do multiple playthroughs, but already I'm like, I'm kind of gonna need to do multiple playthroughs for this, aren't I? Because I want to see like the different angles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's really cool. So you played 4 hours. Was that 4 hours after creating your character, or does that include your character?
Includes, which is kind of why I sort of blitzed through it a little bit. I didn't want to sort of spend too long. So I think I spent about 10 minutes on that, and I was like,
I can spell 4 hours just setting up the correct genital position.
Exactly, right? The Cyber Junior.
Junior's got to get some attention. Don't want to be walking around.
Well, there might be a cutscene where you see it, and then you'd feel real bad that you didn't spend time on it.
That's right.
Oh dear. But yeah, because so what happens once you kind of get dropped in, like your first like initial, it's interesting because obviously I only got to play. You didn't get to go back and do all the other backstory, so I don't know I don't know 100% certain where the stories converge, but if it's where I think it is, then your initial like beginning flow is about half an hour. So you do that in like your personal starting space, and then you kind of merge to where you're doing like the first big job sort of thing. And then you're in Night City, and obviously then you get to kind of explore around. And then once you've done that first part, then although you've got your golden line, it's very much like within the first half an hour, it's like, here's a city, here's a load of activities, do whatever you want or do the mission. And I'm just like, oh, there's a lot to do already.
Wow.
Like you kind of go to the city and obviously like, you open up the map and then, you've got clothes shops, you've got Ripper Docs who are like the people you can go to like install your augment abilities. You've then got like small time activities. It might be like little kind of gang fights going on. You've got other things where you might need to sneak into like warehouses and steal like items from some like chests and some objects and stuff. All these are like level different activities. So, some of them are too high level for you. But then you've also got more expansive stuff. So you can kind of go around and there are like what they've got, like I think they call them street stories. So it's like their side quests. But then some of them are quite short, but some of them are like these kind of branching. They actually kind of, they go out quite far and they have like a lot of like narrative involved in them. So some side quests are definitely more than just like a side note sort of thing. They're actually quite prevalent.
That's one of the things about The Witcher 3 that impressed me so much, was that even like the side stories, that there was nothing pointing you to go there. You would just kind of happen upon like a quest giver out in the wild somewhere, and it would have like this really in-depth story. And maybe it took you a half hour, but like the story that they told was just, it was so much more than what you normally get from like, go kill 9 frogs and I'll give you $100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you get a feeling for that?
Yeah, I think totally agreed. I mean, like, because obviously all the stuff that I did was quite early, but I think even for some of the street stories, like, you don't just walk up and then find there's a quest giver. Like, you'll have like your phone on you, and then suddenly you'll have like text dialogues with like, you might be messaged and kind of had conversations with people that will already kind of establish the reason for kind of going up to this thing. And then obviously then you can go and embark on that quest. And then obviously you have the kind of follow up from there. So yeah, although the one that I did ended quite briefly, I was chatting to one of the sort of gameplay, the kind of quest designers, and he was saying that, yeah, some of these will actually be quite large. You'll do it and they'll branch out to another thing, which will then have like its own story and the stuff. So yeah, I feel like definitely those street stories will have that kind of feel to them.
That's great.
That's the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, because I love the writing and the world design of The Witcher 3 so much. That's the thing I'm like really looking forward to in Cyberpunk so much, is like, can they replicate that and improve upon, that?
Yeah.
They're unmatched in that department as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the world felt incredibly alive in The Witcher. So I'm expecting.
Yeah, that's one of the things in like Night City. Like, I was walking around, I'm used to sort of games where like you play like GTA, and obviously there's like a lot of things going on, but it's kind of like you just feel like they're just there for the sake of populating it. It definitely felt like there's a lot of people you can walk around and you can kind of talk to. Not saying you have like in-depth dialogues with everyone, but like most of the people that I walked past, there was like a talk prompt. So some of them it might just be like, hey, how's it going, kind of thing. But at least they still feel more like they're alive and there's kind of like stuff going on. So yeah, it definitely had that kind of feel to it. And it felt pretty. It's weird, like, because it felt pretty big, like the map. Like, it's always kind of weird to try and gauge map size when you're in a game where you can drive, because driving suddenly makes maps feel quite small. But like for everything I feel like the impression I got from the map size is that the map is big, but also they've definitely gone for the kind of quality over quantity size, where it's like it's big, but it's like modest big but then filled, as opposed to like Red Dead Redemption, where it's like, hey, we've got a huge map but there's not actually anything going on in this game.
Like dense, is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's the word. Sorry, yes. Apparently, words are not not working for me today. But yes, yeah. So because there's loads of like side streets, you go in the side streets and there'll be like gangs there, and like I felt like, I mean, although I didn't get to explore the whole city, everywhere that I was in, I don't feel like I ever went to one part of the city where I was like, oh, there's just nobody here. Like, even on like a broken abandoned bridge that's closed off by like road signs and stuff, there was still like a gang at the end of it. Just like suddenly they rolled up on me, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think anyone would be down this road. So there always seems to be like something going on in the city, which is actually really cool.
That's really cool.
One of the things I saw in some of the preview footage was there's an outside of Night City. There's like a desert out there, and you can actually drive out to there. Did you get a chance to go out there, and what was out there?
I didn't get to because when I think my understanding is that that's the starting area for the nomads, because they start off out in the scrapyards and stuff. I chose Street Kid, so I started actually in the middle of Night City, and And then obviously the corpos, they start off over in like the other district, which is like the kind of the nice shiny corporate district. So I believe, I mean, we will be able to go there anyway, but at the beginning of the game, I didn't get to, because they basically have like at the very start, although it's largely speaking open world and you can kind of go where you want, at the very start, it's kind of like they did in GTA. It's narratively closed off. So they're like the police are cordoning off the areas and stuff just while you do the first bit, and then it'll open up. So yeah, I didn't get to see it. I only saw it afterwards in the B-roll. But it looks cool, though. It's nice to sort of see the varied areas, because obviously we've seen a lot of Night City. We haven't seen a lot of this kind of corporate district, which I'm looking forward to seeing, because all of their like design aesthetic just looks awesome. But I think they said there's 4 or 5 districts, and then you got the Outland, the Badlands as well. So yeah, should be pretty cool.
Did you get to you do much of the brain dance mechanic? Because I think that's the only thing that's come out where people have been like, don't know if I want to do that. And I know some people that played it were like, this was kind of boring and slow, and I don't think I really want to do much of this.
So yeah, so brain dance is actually, here's the thing, it's a really cool system. It's one of those things that just doesn't demo very well. It's like I described it in like our previews, where like, imagine you watch someone playing Uncharted, right? And you're like, and he's running out, like jumping across platforming, and there's like the tomb's crumbling. You're like, yo, this looks amazing. And then flip over to when I'm standing in a tomb, dragging a box, trying to solve a puzzle. And you're like, this game looks kind of boring. It's kind of what Brain Dance does, because the idea behind Brain Dance is that you can use a headset to re-watch camera footage, but you can then break the camera. So you don't just watch it, you can break the camera footage down. You can move freely, you can scan elements within the footage, you can strip back the video layer and just analyze the audio. So what you do is you then use it kind of like a puzzle to solve situations. So the demo they gave us in the stream was basically, there's these 2 guys, they're getting ready to go and rob a store. The guy goes in, he takes the money, and as soon as he's about to leave, he gets killed. So you then rewatch the footage and you scan around, you scan the gun first to find the heat signature. You then break down, you take back the video layer, and you analyze the audio, and you realize that from the outside, you can hear people inside the shop speaking to kind of give you context. You then go in and see the guy gets killed. And as you're leaving, you're then able to look at the behind the counter and realize there was CCTV to show you that his mate that put him on the job is the guy that killed him as he walked out. So you can basically solve the puzzle, which you wouldn't have seen from like, your perspective. So it's kind of like this sort of fun detective thing. And the first time I did it, it was definitely, and I can understand why some of the sort of people said from the preview they didn't necessarily like it initially, because I think they said they were still working on the tutorial flow for that one, because initially it's very much like, hey, you can do it. Here's all the tools, you can do what you want. Whereas I think that what they need to do for the very first time you do it is guide you a little bit more, be like, look for this, this. Because afterwards I then had one where I actually had to do it myself, where you basically go into this area. You might have seen the guy in the trailer, the kind of big robot looking guy. When he walked out the lift, I went in there, and basically when you go into that area, he has there's this guy who's basically got this briefcase which needs to be hidden in a very cool area. So what you basically have to do is you go in, listen to his conversation on his phone first, and then you basically scan some stuff, or you scan something in the room, which basically says like, oh, this needs to be kept below certain degrees, and then you scan around the room looking in like the fridge and certain places, and you're able to uncover it so that when you go later on, you know where it is.
This is like if you had access to all the information Google has on you.
Exactly, right?
Just combing through your file. Oh,
but it's definitely very sort of cyberpunky. I can see why some people might not like it, because it's a definite change of pace. Like you go from like jumping around, shooting, driving to suddenly like, oh, now I need to scan this area. But it definitely fits the theme of the world. Like it's a very sort of cyberpunky kind of thing to do. It reminds me kind of like Ghost in the Shell, like let me sort of jack in and see what's going on kind of thing. So I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I can't wait to play the game.
Yeah.
One of the things that people don't like is like customization. Like I spoke about like when you create your character first, like you have 5 primary stats, which is just like body for like damage, agility, hacking, cool, and like I forget this. Basically, they're your 5 kind of base stats, which just affect the way that some of them affect like your gun damage, some of them affect your ability to kind of worm your way out of situations, things like that. But then when you go into the game afterwards, you can spend your top level perks in them to increase those stats, and then you dive inside to buy perks. And if you imagine that for every single one of those 5, there's a big sheet of maybe 20 perks and 3 tabs. Because so for example, say you go into body and you're like, all right, body has shotguns, has like machine guns, and has just like melee damage. For each of those, it's got its own sheet of skills, and then you times that by all of them.
Wow.
So, there's tons of them, and you're like, and you spend, and some of them are obviously just small things like statistical stuff, like increase in damage on guns or this, that, and the other. But then some of them have got like capstone skills that actually give you abilities. Like in the melee one, I was able to throw daggers and stuff. So there's some really cool stuff in there. And then you have that layered on top of the fact that you then go to the Ripper Dock and you physically install augments into your character. So those are the kind of the stat stuff. And then you've got the augments are where you get things like the mantis blades, like the blades out your arms, or like the special eyes to like scan stuff, and then like, or there's like blades where let you do like jump attack stuff. So you've got like 3 layers of customization for your potential build. And then you've got weapons on top because the game's got loot. Like it's got gear, it's got like rarities of gear. So you've basically got layer upon layer upon layer of just like,
sounds great.
How do you want to build your character?
This game can't come fast enough, man. Like, it can't come fast enough. I'm so excited for it. You had me at genital customization, to be honest.
Yeah,
like
the Cyber Junior
right there.
Cyber Junior getting customized. Dude. Let's go, man.
I don't think you can install Ripper Dock augments in the Cyber Junior though.
That would be amazing.
You can't,
a laser
put
beam?
a
That would be great.
Honestly, thematically in the Cyberpunk world, I feel like that would be pretty common. Augments in the genitals.
Oh, dear. Imagine that. He just does like an Iron Man, like an Iron Man, like proton cannon, just like that. Just that would not be a.
Wasn't there a movie like a Quentin Tarantino movie where a guy had like a 6-shooter? Oh man,
Probably.
I can't remember now.
It was junk.
It was weird. Yeah. Like he had like a cod piece, and he took off like the cover, and there was like a pistol. And
Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah, that's what it was.
Go.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was hilarious.
That name makes sense for his 6-shooter.
Oh my gosh. Was there difficulty settings? Is there like a? Do you know? Did they show that yet?
I didn't see it, actually. That's a good point. No, because when I did it, I was like on the main menu and I just pressed new game and it just put me into the character creator, but I was in a demo build, so I don't actually know if there's difficulty or not. Yeah,
I mean, The Witcher, it had like 4 different settings, and I'm wondering if they're going to do the same thing or if they're going to have a different type of difficulty system built into it, or I don't know. Yeah,
I feel like they probably would, because I mean, it'll give you like more replay value and stuff. But I feel like for demo purposes, they would just play it.
Makes sense,
version.
I really don't want people getting real stuck too in a demo.
Yeah.
How did it feel? Like, how did it actually feel? You played it on controller. Like, how did it feel to control your character, to shoot, to interact? Like,
so for the most part, like felt really, really good. The one thing that I think I had that was because one of the difficulties you often have whenever you play like beta or early development builds and you're playing on PC, but they force you to use controller. Typically in that build, auto aim is not on. So when you're playing on controller, you don't have auto aim. And they said they were still kind of fine tuning it. So when I'm playing on controller through a streaming service with ever so slight delay and I don't have auto aim, what I did find was that everything that I felt really good. But there were times when I was in a gunfight and I'm like, I'm sure I was shooting. And then I was speaking to the guy, the quest designer. He's like, on my screen, you were like shooting like a second too late every time. And I was like, oh, because on my screen, I felt like I was shooting them. But despite the fact that I was just like apparently not very good at aiming, the actual feel of the game was like really, really good. Like even down to like, because I only did I did a few missions and I only got like 3 guns to drop, but rather conveniently they were all pistols. So, you think to yourself, all right, a pistol, like how different can it be? But they were all very, very, like they felt really different. Like we had the kind of starter, which was just like a deagle sort of thing. Felt pretty cool. But then when I fought one of the sort of main story boss guys, he dropped his gun, which was like a kind of a gold rarity. So I'm assuming that's like one of the higher ones.
Awesome.
And that was kind of like a revolver style weapon with like this special hollow sight on there. And that had like a really big kickback when you were firing it, but it felt powerful. And then I picked up like a burst pistol from someone afterwards, which obviously felt a lot lighter. But then you had like, so even in the same archetype, even in the pistol, like 3 different ones that I got, they're all considerably lower level. They all felt pretty good. And I know like melee is one of those ones as well, because I want to play this sort of game in like a melee way. And it's funny because like I know some people sort of said in the previews that like melee didn't feel too good, and I think initially. Because like for melee, what you can do is you can block, you can punch someone, you can do like a heavy punch to break their block. That part of it's a little bit basic, but you can pick up a sword, katana style.
I like
you can block, you can do heavy strikes. Like when I picked up the katana in like training, I was like, this is me. And I was like, that just felt like you run up to someone, you like, whoosh, you just like cut through them. That was cool. And then also you have but the thing is, the other thing that's interesting is like it's quite like it felt really good, but it's also you think of something like Melee, for example, like that doesn't even come into its own at the beginning of the game because obviously you've got so many different Melee augments you can install. Like I didn't like I can get like arm blades and takedown and stuff like that, which I didn't have at the beginning. So I feel like almost trying to say how did it feel at that stage is almost like taking something like World of Warcraft and be like, how does it feel to be a level 1 warrior? And you're like, kind of rubbish. Versus but I definitely say I think it feels good. I'll play it on mouse and keyboard for sure. But
like mixing first-person shooter with an RPG can be troublesome. We've seen this in the Fallout series where they have to get an RPG, like to get those RPG stats in. All of a sudden you're shooting somebody, but your bullets aren't going where you're aiming because your like aim stat isn't high enough. Is there anything like that, or
no? I feel
does it feel like an RPG?
It feels like an RPG, but I definitely felt. To your point, what you could have just sort of said there, I didn't feel like there was any of that early on where I was like, I think any time I was missing, it's just because I was like bad at aiming. I feel like they've got a good balance where like the shooting feels good. And although you do fight people and obviously they, it's definitely not Division bullet spongy, but it's also not like Valorant one-shot kill because obviously it's an RPG, right? There needs to be a certain degree of that. Yeah. That being said, headshots do seem to do most of like as you would expect, like a good deal of damage to the point where I imagine if you had like a decent weapon, you probably can one-shot headshot people. Because I was using like pistols, it was kind of a couple of shots and stuff. But yeah, that I definitely didn't feel like my abilities to like shoot and stuff were being hampered by my lack of ability. But then also on the flip side, I don't know how much that will improve when I do get stuff because you've got things like the drugs you can take, which kind of appear to slow down time and. So you've got like a lot of like fun things you can mess around with that. So that'll But actually, it's funny because you mentioned kind of Fallout because I've never been a fan of the Fallout series. Like I've tried to play them before, and that is a good point because I was thinking about it afterwards. Like I've never really been a fan of Fallout for like a few reasons. Like I don't really like the setting and the kind of the visual look for it, but also just the way that Fallout plays. I've just never felt. Like it just always felt weird and clunky to me. Cyberpunk definitely didn't feel like that. It definitely felt like it felt really good.
That's good.
So yeah,
That's good. Really
from looking at gameplay of like guns being shot, it at least looked like the guns felt good and unique and stuff. So because there's been some gameplay of other games where I'm like, the guns don't look like they're gonna feel that good, but it looked like they will. So that's great.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
Very excited. Yeah,
cannot wait to jump into that game.
Yeah, this got pushed back to November, right?
Yeah, mid-November, like the 22nd or something.
That's like almost at the end of 2020. Like, can we just
push it?
Give it.
Well, the nice thing is because it's out that late, it means that we can basically play it over Christmas.
Yeah, on the new consoles too.
Yeah.
The new console theoretically be out around that time.
Before the Cyberpunk anime is released, I'll be happy. Wait, there's a Cyberpunk
anime?
There's a Cyberpunk anime. It's coming out in 2022, and it's being made by Trigger Studios, which are a really good animation studio.
Is that going to be like
best
exclusive to any service, or how's that going to be released? Don't know yet.
I don't
Netflix.
know. Oh, it is Netflix. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it
Netflix.
Is Netflix.
Nice.
It is.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see Trigger in the Cyberpunk universe. You know they're gonna to anyone that hasn't kind of seen that stuff, like they're like Kill la Kill, Gurren Lagann, Promare, that kind of stuff like that. That vibe in Cyberpunk.
It's perfect.
Gonna be good.
Man, I gotta say, I watched the Castlevania anime on Netflix, and now all they recommend to me is anime.
Good.
All of it.
Good. That's great.
Like,
perfect.
Hey, we heard you like anime.
You talk about this like it's a problem. This is great.
Now you can be recommended the Cyberpunk anime in 2022. Fantastic.
This happened to be on Twitch a couple years ago. I don't know, for some reason, I'm not even gonna say it. Never mind. I'm not even gonna.
All the channels they're recommending me are body painters doing ASMR. I don't
basically. I don't even know how that happened.
Oh damn.
Oh my gosh. So needless to say, you're excited about Cyberpunk, Eric's, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Just a little bit. Just
a little, right? Yeah.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I think we all are.
It's gonna be good. Definitely. Yeah.
Can't wait.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, Watts, go for it.
Well, something came out today about a so the Harry Potter RPG that we saw.
This is literally the first I'm hearing about this, actually.
Wait, you didn't even hear about it? At all?
I heard about the RPG.
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of Harry Potter.
There was a leak a while ago that just showed some of the gameplay that I don't think we were supposed to see at that point. And then today some information came out about it. Not much, but we know that it is a AAA game. So it's being made, it's a AAA game. It's being developed by Avalanche Software. I don't know if you guys want to Google what they made.
Let's have a look.
I don't recall. It's scheduled for late next year, and it is open world Hogwarts and surrounding areas, which is exciting. Okay. And they said J.K. Rowling has very little direct involvement, which might be a good thing for lots of people. And it's going to be revealed after DC Fandom.
Why would having the original author's little involvement be a good thing?
She's starting to be a little bit crazy these days. I think she's been drinking too many of her potions because she's wild now.
Is she like, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm super rich, so I can say whatever I want.
Basically, yeah.
Probably. That's probably right.
Let me pick this shovel and let me start digging this hole. Yeah. Avalanche Studios have worked on things like Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Rugrats, Chicken Little, Bolt, Toy Story, Disney Infinity. So
lots of Disney games.
So yes, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
Gonna be honest.
Open world around Hogwarts, Gonna
be honest, I don't really expect much from this type of game.
Yeah.
I feel like the systems are probably gonna be kind of like dumbed down, so it's not gonna be super in depth.
At least it looks pretty.
Yeah, that screenshot did look, or like, was it a video or screen? I feel like I saw a screenshot. It was screenshots. Yeah. It definitely looks good in that screenshot, but because of it being Harry Potter and also Avalanche developing it, like, I'm not expecting some super crazy in-depth RPG MMO type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, chat is telling me she's a terrible person.
She's a turf.
Yeah.
Dang. She is a turf. I don't think I'm gonna buy this game.
because it's gonna give money to J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Have to, right?
Yeah.
Dang.
What else happened? There was a 1-minute new trailer for Ghost of Tsushima called A Storm Is Coming.
I haven't seen it. Did it drop today?
June 29th, yeah. Came out today.
Oh,
I don't know how long ago, but it was today. It's just 1 minute, and it's no gameplay, I don't think, but it's kind of just setting the world a little bit more and showing some different parts of the map. It looks so gorgeous. I can't wait for this game.
I still can't believe this is a PlayStation 4 game. Like, every time I see it, I'm like, oh my god, it looks incredible. So good.
How are you guys thinking of playing? Like, because you know that you can obviously like play. I know they said that you will kind of go down the Ghost route, but they said that you can play however you like. How do you guys think you'll play? Will you play Ghost or will you play Samurai?
I am not good at stealth gameplay. Like, I am hilariously bad at it. So, like, whatever the option is that doesn't require stealth is the option I will be choosing.
Fair.
Samurai sword blazing.
That's how it feels for me.
Yeah.
Which one? How the combat of the samurai feels, and if I feel like being a bit sneaky is a good thing.
I'm always like approaching it sneaky because I'm like, how do we want to like just stealth kill everyone, and then I'll get like 2 stealth kills, and then someone will spot me. I'll be like, well I guess we're killing everyone.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Oh dear. It's interesting, actually. I love that they're doing that, where it's like he's the samurai, it's this big code of respect, and you're supposed to be a very specific way. You're not supposed to just shoot someone in the back. That's very not good. So he's kind of battling against his samurai ways as he learns that he has to become more of a ghost if he wants to achieve what he wants to achieve. So I like that they're not just saying, yeah, you can go stealth or not stealth, and it's just a choice of gameplay, but it's actually a part of the story.
Interesting.
Yes.
This game looks fantastic. When I started watching some preview footage and it started looking so similar to a Ubisoft open world game, I started getting a little concerned about it. Like,
That's fair.
Like, I like everything I'm seeing, except like, is it going to be one of those games where like there's just like a million things on the? Is it going to be an Ubisoft open world game? Not that I don't love Ubisoft open world games. I think that Assassin's Creed's Odyssey is an amazing game. Origins was an amazing game, but some of them I really don't like Fallout, or not Fallout, Far Cry. What was the last Far Cry?
5,
Six,
yeah.
five,
New
five,
Dawn or
yeah,
some
one
crap
was-
like that.
The fact that we can't remember which number it is, I think, speaks volumes. Actually,
True. Yeah, I feel like Sucker Punch are pretty good at like kind of creating those nice like. They create those good worlds where it feels like there's a lot of kind of stuff going on. So I think it would be there would definitely be that open element of it. I think there was an article that came up like 2 days ago that sort of said that the kind of playtime for Ghost of Tsushima looks like it'll be somewhere in the realms of 30 to 50 hours. So obviously, depending on whether you decide to like, because we saw from some of the gameplay preview, there's like shrines you can go to, which will give you like upgrades and stuff. So obviously, if you go off the beaten track and you look for everything, you're probably looking more towards that 50-hour mark. Whereas if you're going to golden line it, then
it'll probably be 70 hours for me.
Yeah, true.
I'm always like, how did you? I'm already at 40 hours, and I'm like halfway through. How did you guys finish it?
Yeah,
40 hours.
What always happens to me? I always start off by like wanting to see everything. But then I get burned out because I haven't been progressing the story fast enough, and I've just been doing all the side stuff, and I just get like bored with like the mechanics of a game, and I'll never finish the story.
Gotta find a good mix.
Yeah.
I usually approach a good mix.
Most games I like if I'm really invested in it, I'll try and sort of do everything. But most games I'm just like, let me just get through the story. But this is one of those ones that I do want to explore everything. And obviously, like when you're playing a game you don't know, like. If I knew, for example, it was like, oh yeah, if you get to the very end of the game, then you'll have access to the whole map and you can go back and do everything you've missed. They'll be like, okay, I'll just run through the story. But when you don't know that, like I'm worried I might get to a point where it's like, if you stab this guy with your like katana, there's no going back. I'm like, yikes! I need to go and find all the shrines and So
the game's just so gorgeous that I feel like I just want to be in that world because of how beautiful it is. So I think it's a game that I'm going to be pretty happy to just run around doing stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it. The only issue, guys, is 2020 wild card. Every time a game gets released in 2020, they roll a dice. You're like, oh, please don't land on the bad juju number. Oh, please no. Because it's 2020. Anything's possible right now.
True. Hopefully there's nothing racist in there. Speaking of Ubisoft. So
nailed it.
A game has been announced. It's called Hyperscape. It is a BR.
It looks like a generic as hell BR to me. Am I wrong?
See, their big selling point is that it has huge Twitch chat integration where they can like put stuff on the map and change the map and stuff, which
that's cool.
So far that stuff sounds cool, but every game that's kind of launched with this huge Twitch integration just hasn't really done that well or used it particularly well, or it ends up being trolly, or they can like power you up so much that you end up being OP, and it's just it ends up just not working great.
That sounds like the marketing team is in control of the development team.
Kind of does, yeah.
One cool thing that they are doing, so there's two things that they're doing with Twitch that I don't think people have done before, where you get revenue on in-extension bits purchase. So every time a viewer purchases Twitch bits when watching your Hyperscape stream, you get a share of the amount. They're also making
pleased to announce I am now a hyper stream exclusive streamer.
One thing they are doing, which I wish more games would actually do this, is you can decide to open your squad invite to subscribers only. So the game is like integrated with Twitch, and they know who your subs are in game. So you can just open it up to like, subs can join, which is really cool.
That's really cool.
I do like that. So maybe they'll do the integration better than other people have. I don't know how I feel about another BR, but
yeah, BR is definitely kind of a played out genre at this point.
Yeah.
Still really popular.
They're gonna be showing gameplay.
Pretty popular.
They're gonna be showing gameplay footage later this week.
I guess what I'm saying though is like a lot of BRs have come out at this point trying to take that spotlight, and they've just completely gotten swept aside because the genre is technically matured at this point. Like there's a couple pillars of what people go for.
It reminds me a lot of World of Warcraft in that way. It's like the MMO space was so dominated by World of Warcraft that it was hard for any other game to get any traction in that space.
True.
Yeah, exactly. Shall we talk?
Watch this space.
Shall we talk spoilers?
Let's do it.
All right, so chat.
Hardcore spoilers, right?
Okay.
Like
chat,
this is your warning.
No holds barred spoilers. We're gonna be talking about names, activity, like things that happen. Big spoiler, big story plot
beats.
elements, including the ending, because we just want to have a conversation about the game. So if you haven't played this and you're planning on playing it, tune out now. You can come back to this after you've played it. But boy, we're gonna go hard on the spoilers. So this is the last segment of the show. You're not gonna miss anything after this. This is it.
Yeah.
So you can feel free to tune out now and come back after you played the game.
Yeah.
If you're not planning on playing the game or you already finished it, let's do it.
Yeah. And speaking of, like, man, that xenomorph connection when they showed the aliens show up and like popped out.
I will say I was shocked.
I was like, is this Aliens 5? 6? Alien?
Right?
This is just
and then Ellie revealed her mask like Bill and Ted, and then like so she was a robot. Like what?
It was Ripley the whole time.
Whoa! Got him.
All right, so you've been warned. Spoilers about Last of Us 2 are inbound. Where do we start?
So I think we got to start with the big twist. The middle twist, right?
Okay.
It's like everybody knows so far, like everybody is aware if you've been following this game, this is a revenge story. Ellie is the beginning of the game starts with Abby, this group of basically the ex-Fireflies or the descendants of the Fireflies from the first game coming to kill Joel for revenge for what he did in the first game. They do that. They kill Joel right at the beginning of the game, and basically the first half of the game is then Ellie's quest for revenge and her going into Seattle and killing the people who killed Joel, right? And
the Barons of Seattle.
The Barons of Seattle, I think is a great way of putting that. And then, it kind of, the twist is middle of the game, Abby and Ellie finally are face to face. Abby, the person who killed Joel, and Ellie are face to face, and the perspective switches to 3 days ago, and you're now playing as Abby, and you're learning about how all these people that you killed as Ellie were like, essentially just people, like people who had lives. They were trying to get out of bad situations.
They had pets.
They were pregnant.
They were pregnant.
Like, holy smokes. It was me and my wife were playing. I was playing this and my wife was watching it. And we were just commenting, like, this is the most fucked up thing a video game's ever done. Because after you go through all this time killing all these people in horrific ways,
brutal ways, good God,
you then meet them and learn how their personal struggles and what their life story is, and really, to me, like, get an appreciation for these people. Like, I learned to like actually like these people quite a bit.
How did you guys find
Abby
playing?
More.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how did you guys find playing Abby? Because I know a lot of people couldn't really get past the wall of Ellie and Joel is the story I've been following. I can't believe they're making me play Abby. There's no way that I can possibly sympathize with this character.
I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a brilliant way to tell a story it was a brilliant way to humanize, like, because so often in video games, you go about the course of murder and mayhem. But to do all that and then to switch the perspective of the people on the other side, I thought it was a brilliant move. It was messed up. It was really a brilliant move, though. Like, to humanize those people that you just murdered.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that like worked really well about it is like, and I didn't actually realize until I was trying to chat to my friend, like, because I finished it. It's one of those things where the whole story, like, it grew on me. More over the weeks that I've kind of thought about it more, because when I first finished it, initially I was slightly conflicted. I was like, oh, you know what, like, obviously I played Last of Us 1, I'm super invested in like Ellie and Joel. Obviously when the beginning thing happened, I was like, all I want is revenge, just want to get them done. And then like when I got to the end of it, and obviously there's kind of the flip where it's like, oh, you don't get to kill her, and then suddenly you have to go and get revenge again and you still don't do it. I was like, this is a whole waste of time. Like, when I first finished the game, I was like, you didn't even need a sequel. But the interesting thing is that because where a lot of people didn't like when it switched to Abby is actually quite clever, because the emotion you feel by the frustration of having to switch to Abby is kind of the emotion you need to go through. Because at that point in the game, you hate Abby, right? You're like, the only thing I know is that she killed Joel. Like, I hate her. And like, I'm playing as this person that I hate. Like, I hate this moment. And then you're physically hating playing the game. But then the more that you play it, that hate starts to subside. You're just like, okay, maybe like I still want to kill her, but maybe she's not quite so bad. And then like as you go further and further and further, it generally got to the point where I actually preferred Abby as a character. I was like, damn, like this frustration that I had when it forced me to go back to chapter 1 was at like a legitimate emotional journey.
Mm-hmm. Is Abby even a bad guy? Like, should you be killing her? She came after Joel because Joel killed her father, who was trying to literally save the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy here? That's what it was such a complex, like so many emotions, because like, you've fallen in love with Ellie over the course of The Last of Us, and maybe The Last of Us 2, although Ellie is a very different character in The Last of Us 2 than she was in the first game.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, she's grown up. She's seen a lot of awful shit. She watched Joel die, like right in front of her, get tortured and die. Like, that changes a person for sure. So
you
don't expect
a bad
bubbly,
case of PTSD.
Lighthearted. Yeah, you don't expect the bubbly, lighthearted little girl that was in the first game anymore. But man, it's like Ellie does things in this game that like you have to do. Like, you have to do the controller inputs, and I didn't want to do them. Like, I just didn't. Like, I didn't want Ellie to do these things because I'm emotionally attached to this character, Ellie. And I didn't want her to be doing the things she was doing. At the end of the game, you have this confrontation with Abby in the theater. And then
that's not the end.
Right, I know. At the end, but like toward the end of the game.
Okay.
You have this confrontation with Abby in the theater, and you both live through it. And Ellie goes back home with, is her name Dina?
Dinah. Yeah. Dina. Yeah.
Dinah.
No, it's actually
you guys
Dina.
like you guys are like living what seems to be a happy life. You're on a farm, you've got the baby is born. Everything should be good, but Ellie can't get it out of her head. She has to go back out after Abby again. And Abby has now moved on from this, right? Abby has gone, like, she has latched on to Lev, and they are now looking to rebuild the Fireflies or rejoin the Fireflies. She's moved on. But Ellie, like, can't do it. She cannot move on. She still has to kill Abby, even though Abby has now spared her life twice.
Yeah. So when it switched over to Abby for me, I was like, what the hell? What's going on here? But it definitely grew, and it grew and grew, and seeing the revelation of like the characters growing or having identities for the people that you had killed as Ellie, that was really brutal, but also brilliant at the same time for how they put that together in the game to create those emotions. And then by the end of it, what was crazy, or not by the end of it, but like the time you get to the fight with the theater, I thought it actually blew my mind that like I thought that was the end of the game, that we were having a boss battle, and the boss battle was you played earlier, like playing against yourself from the earlier part of the game. I was like, wow, this is brilliant. I thought it was going to end there, and I thought one of them was going to die. I really did. But then they went over to the farm, she ended up sparing her life because Lev said, hey, don't forget you're a human, don't become a monster, and so then they had this like farm life, and I was like, okay, they're showing the farm life stuff, and she has a family. Now if you have a family, like, I feel like that should be the turning point for Ellie, that she has to move on from the revenge, and like, this is important because it's not just her, like, her life has been spared. Don't throw it away. Your life has been spared a couple times. Don't throw it away. And this is where I full stop go, I don't like this story anymore, because she throws it away. She puts her relationship in jeopardy with her family and decides to go hunt Abby again. And to me, like, that whole thing could have been thrown out, and I would have been okay with them ending the story on the farm. And I think it would have been a better story, because the fact that I
disagree, because that's when.
Oh, let me finish.
Ellie finally,
Let me finish, because then we're just going for another round of revenge, and she's literally throwing everything away. And on top of that, she's crossing half of America again to chase after this woman who has already moved on. And like, it's just, for me, they already stretched the potential of like, all right, I'm going to make you have to believe this. You know, you're going to have to stretch some ideals here to believe that we can get to this point in the story. And then they just did it again. And I was like, no. Too much. And at the end, she finds her on the stocks or the sticks where she's basically being crucified. And she was already in her dialogue, she was talking about how she had better not become a zombie because she wanted to have this knockdown, drag out fight. And like, she's already basically dying from her bleeding out wound, or she didn't die, but you know what I mean? Like, she was basically like already severely wounded from the stuff that was going on. To have this fight happen at the end where she just couldn't let go. That it just felt like this supercharged Shakespearean tragedy disaster piece with more and more and more on top of it, where I was like, I'm not buying this.
I've heard it described as misery porn.
That's not wrong. That's not wrong. It is like, the overall tone of this game is just awful, right? It's like, it's designed to make you feel bad for these characters, right? And be angry with these characters and their actions. I didn't have a big problem with the end of the game, because I liked how you could see Ellie's kind of like the torment she was going through. She knew the right thing was to let Abby go, right? She saw her being crucified. She cut her down and she let her go to the boat, but she was putting her stuff in the boat. Like, she was about to just like, okay, this is over. And she's like, I can't do it. Like, I have to kill this woman for what she did to Joel. Like, I have to do it. And I thought that was powerful. I thought it was good. But like, the whole thing is just, I do have a theory, is I believe that the first game was built as like a standalone game. Like, this is, this is just something that's out there. It's a standalone game. The ending is what it is. I don't think that's true about this game. I think the second game is, if you think about the first game as Star Wars: A New Hope, where it was built as a standalone movie because they didn't know if they'd ever make a second one. The Empire Strikes Back was very much made knowing that there was going to be a third one. And I think this one was too. I think the end of this story, like, it sets Ellie up for a third game. And it's dark. Like, the whole game is dark. There's no like wonderment of like petting a giraffe from a building. There's no, the first game had this hope of being able to get Ellie to Seattle and cure, this virus,
save
for
humanity.
The whole world. No hope in this game. The only thing in this game is revenge and killing.
But I think the awful result of revenge, because if Abby had let him go, none of her friends would have died.
Right.
Yeah. If Tommy and Ellie could bury the hatchet and say that was awful, but crossing the country in zombie land to hunt for people,
it's got to end somewhere.
Then her friends, Jesse, wouldn't have died. A whole string of events happened that were awful because people kept on making bad decisions. And I was accepting of a number of bad decisions. I was like, okay, I can see past this. Already there was like, when the death scene of Joel felt very like a lot of things had to come together perfectly for that to happen. And I was like, it's a little all right. Well, okay. Well, I'm giving you a pass here, but we're going with this. And then more bad decisions happen. I was like, oh man, more these bad decisions. My God, it's piling up. Then they had the movie theater fight, and I was like, there's so many bad decisions here. I'm ready for this to end and be like, oh, guys, I can't believe I watched that movie. And then it kept going. They're like, but wait, there is more bad decisions. It was heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking. I love this game. The game, like, aside from the story, like, visually is one of the best looking games I've ever seen on any platform. Like, it's just amazing looking. Seattle is like, this ruined Seattle is just gorgeously built. It's like, there's so many times where you think that you're running through these buildings, like these dilapidated buildings. You'd think it'd just be like reused, like, rooms over and over again. And there definitely is some of that, but so often you walk into a room, and if you just take a second to look around, you can see like the story of the people who live there. Like, you'll see like a D&D, like a Dungeons and Dragons set laid out on a table. You'll see a PlayStation 3 with controllers, you know, on the floor. You know, you'll just see like so much of this contextual stuff about the people who used to live there, and it's so bespoke. Like there's different shops. Like, you go into a record shop, and it looks completely different than the next shop that sells tires, and the next stop. You know, it's so gorgeously crafted and like graphically so lush. It's such an amazing visual experience.
It's a technical achievement, man. Like, the game is
it really
beautiful. From, just like I said, from like the snow areas to Seattle, feeling very different. Then you get to the farm and that skybox, and it's like, whoa, this is a gorgeous farm. Like, wow, magical. Yeah. And then they go to California, and I'm like, this feels like California in the summer. Like, the way the light feels, and obviously the architecture and all that, but it just had a very distinct, this is California. Like, it was impressive. Very, very impressive.
It was impressive.
What did you guys think about? Actually, I'll let you guys bring that up because it's like the end of the story.
Okay.
The gameplay. I don't know if it really evolved that much from The Last of Us 1. That was kind of the thing about The Last of Us 1 that I didn't love. You know, I loved everything about The Last of Us 1 except for the actual playing of it. Like, stealth games aren't my thing. You know, like, I just don't dig on stealth games that much. And like, in The Last of Us 1 and The Last of Us 2, like, I just wanted to, you know, like, progress through the story, and this whole like looking around. You have to look in every corner of every area intensely because you're so limited on ammo. You're so limited on crafting supplies. Plus, you can just walk right by really important upgrades for your character,
like a flamethrower or something.
Yeah. Did you walk by that? You didn't
no. I was definitely scoping everything, but I got it, and I was like, I could have easily missed this and then not had a flamethrower.
Right.
I think I missed a lot of stuff because my end game completion time came in like 17 hours, 50 minutes, something like that. So I blitzed through a lot of stuff.
That's
like,
fast.
For me, these kind of games, I was like, I want to play the story. And I'm like, I know, and for reference, I know they're not zombies, but I don't like zombie games, right? So I was like, clickers, I hate them. They're horrible. So for most fights, I would go somewhere, and I'm like, well, because I'm golden lining it, I haven't explored. I've got 3 bullets. I am a terrible aim. It takes me three shots to actually work out how to shoot someone. So those bullets are useless. So I'll stealth around, but I genuinely, so my master tactic for most things is like, most fights, I don't even need to do. I throw a brick over there. Everyone will go there. I rush the door. Even the doors you have to hold triangle on. Like, by the time they've realized that I'm trying to get out of the door and they turn to face me, I'm already through the door. And I'm like, ha. So there are so many fights where I'm just like being chased by tons of people. I'm like, I'm out of here. It's not me. So yeah, that's how I played the game. I literally ran.
I played the game as a deadly bush. People were like, God, keep dying by that bush. Just silence bullets.
One thing that was frustrating about the changeover to Abby was Ellie has a shiv. Like, in the first game, you had to craft each shiv, and I was super happy that Ellie just has one and it doesn't wear out. But Abby doesn't have one. She has to choke everybody to death, and it takes way longer than shivving people. And it was really frustrating. And that's actually
strong.
She is super strong. My biggest frustration with playing the game was like, it just took so long to get from A to B sometimes. And sometimes like the bridge sequence over Seattle was amazing and intense, and it exposed like the flaw, like that Abby wasn't this like perfect soldier. Like she did have flaws. She was afraid of heights, and she almost killed herself and Lev because she was so scared of heights, right?
Yeah.
But like because the game is long, it's much longer than the first game. So much of your time is spent traveling from A to B that to me it got repetitive. Like it's like, oh, okay, now I've got to, travel to a place and then see the story thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that loop got a little bit repetitive after a while.
Interesting. For me, I didn't really get sick of the loop, the gameplay loop. I actually enjoyed all the way to California. I was enjoying like going into different environments and seeing how I could do the encounters. Also wasn't stealthing heavily. I mean, I was making jokes about how I was so damn stealthy after killing everybody with bullets.
Yeah.
And also, another thing that helped for me was I played on all Survivor except for the items. I dropped the items all the way down, so I had like lots of bullets,
plenty of ammo.
Yeah, and that just made it a lot more enjoyable to run around, and you have options and not feel like, oh man, I gotta like play this part perfectly to get past it or something like that. So
the settings of this game are super, like you could really tailor your experience.
Yeah.
Like you can make the enemies really hard, but have like tons of items. You can make it so there's like just no items around anywhere. Like as far as ammo and like health packs and stuff.
Yeah, that's how I started. And I was like, one bullet, huh? After all of that, one bullet.
Like you are forced to stealth. Like,
yeah.
If you don't have the items, because you have to, unless you do what Eric's does and just like throw a brick and run the other way, which works. It does work. I did the same thing when I was low on ammo.
It's true.
Yeah,
I know what you mean though about like some of the gameplay though, because like I feel like and part of the reason I ran through like some of the stuff in this one is that it did a similar thing to what Uncharted 3 did for me. Like I love Uncharted, and Uncharted 2 is like one of my favorite games, but Uncharted 3. I feel that the pacing was slightly off on that one because in that one I get so into the story, and then it would just like constantly interrupt the story with here's a mandatory gunfight, and I'm like I just want to know what happens next. And then for sometimes in like Last of Us, like there'll be some sections where like I feel like all right, it makes sense. Like obviously I've kind of got into this new building, I need to go through some fights and stuff. But like for example, there was that time in I can't remember where it is, but it's like the kind of big grassy area, the one they showed at E3 like last year. And then there were so many rooms that you had to go through outside, like going down to get to the car when you meet Jesse eventually. Like there's so many sections of that, and I was just like, I don't want to get into like you go through a door and I'm like, surely that'll be the next thing. It's like, nope, here's another like 3 areas of dudes to get through. I was like, that's just too long. So that's why I started just running. I was like, I just want to get through, just want to get to the cutscene.
That's fair.
Because these are definitely games where I'm just like, I mean, I would happily just watch it instead of play it because I just kind of want to just play it for the story. Because Last of Us, I mean, it's gameplay's decent, but I don't feel like it will win any awards for its gameplay. They just kind of just like it's just gameplay, right? But it's just the story that's
like some of it's fun. Like the bow, I found super super fun to use. Like it's very satisfying to shoot the bow and get headshots, and then go and like if you get a headshot, there's a chance that you can recollect that arrow, so you don't have to craft your arrow. Like that loop, I found very satisfying. When I was sneaking around, like I found it fun to sneak around, even though. Like I usually don't like stealth gameplay, but like using Ellie and using the shiv, like it was satisfying to do so. And when shit went down, like the controls almost remind me like of an old Resident Evil game where it's almost like the controls are part of they're part of the experience in that it's a little bit hard to shoot people in the head like you want to. So, and you always have this tension of like, I want to save my bullets. So if shit does go down, like this can go bad for me. Like, so even though like the gameplay is, I don't know, it's hit or miss to me. It's
not its standout feature.
No, yeah, and that was the same with the first game.
Yeah,
I hope in the third game that they make some improvements there, and I don't know what those improvements are because, at its core, it is a stealth game. Like you have to avoid the zombies. Like the zombies are supposed to be like really dangerous, and if you're just walking through with a submachine gun and a flamethrower, they don't feel very dangerous.
True.
You can still get swarmed, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I usually when I beat a game, I can have this like sense of recommendation for people. It's like, yeah, you know, probably you'd want to play this game. Honestly, after beating it, I'm like, I can't recommend this game. Like if you're looking for a specific experience, then yeah, I could see it. But if you're just casually like, oh, I'm looking for another game to play, what should I play? You know, it's like God of War. Oh, easy, no problem. You know, like yeah, you're gonna play that. This game, there is so much like torture porn and just awful images and just the story taking a sudden change and just making you go, why would you do this? I walked away feeling like, nah, I'm not going to recommend this to people if they're saying, hey, should I get this game or whatever. I'm like, it's a beautiful game, absolute technical achievements incredible, but I think the story at the end just killed it for me.
What do you guys think about?
I disagree. I love the ending of the game. Oh man, that was gross.
Because I think that was actually a really emotional moment for a lot of people, is the loss of fingers and then Ellie not being able to play the guitar anymore, because obviously that was something that Joel taught her to do.
Yeah.
So I think that was like a really tough moment for a lot of people playing.
She tried to play the song that Joel taught her at the end and couldn't play it and left the guitar. That was her like completely
end of the game.
That was her letting go of Joel completely. It was such a destructive spin that like I get where they wanted to. I get the reason for telling Ellie's story like that. Like she was going in a completely destructive spiral that was catatonic. I expected her to blow her brains out at the end on the field as she was walking out. I was like, guitar went down. I was like, she might commit suicide. Like after all that, this might be the end of the road for her. And obviously that didn't happen, but I was like,
that'd make a third game hard to make.
You could be Abby. Abby and Lev, man. Like I saw what they did with Abby and Lev. I could easily see that being as a part 3 in their story. Because they already set it up where you played 50% of this game as Abby and her becoming a mother figure to Lev. So in fact, it was very much like Joel and Ellie that was happening with that.
Yeah. Because I kind of like to, I mean, like, I don't know whether it would be a whole game in itself, but given that towards the end they started to find that there were some fireflies that were existing, I kind of almost want to see where that story beat goes to. Like, do they reassemble the fireflies? Do they? I don't know whether that would.
Do you think there were actual fireflies out there? I just assumed the rattlesnakes were pretending to be the fireflies. I don't think there are any more fireflies. I thought the rattlesnakes were on the other side of that radio.
I think that's what it was, right?
And they're like, "Where are you?" And then they came right to her and got her.
Right. I didn't think of it that way. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I thought they were actually out there. Like, huh.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This game reminds me of something like a movie like Blue Ruin, where it is, Blue Ruin is a revenge movie with a man making horrible decisions, in the name of revenge, and like I feel like this game, it's not going to leave you with a bright and cheery feeling, but it's definitely worth playing. And I came out of Last of Us saying they should never make a sequel to this game. Like they should never make a sequel to this game because it ended in such a perfect way. It was a perfect wrap up of a story. After playing Last of Us 2, I can't wait for the next one. And whether that's at the end of the life for PlayStation 4 or not, like I cannot wait for the next chapter of Ellie's journey, because like it sure as hell can't end like this, right? Like it's got to go, it's got to keep going. So I can't wait to see where it goes. I would wholeheartedly recommend this, but understand what you're getting into. Like this is a very dark story. This is not like the first one where it's a story of hope with a twist ending. This is a story of revenge. I didn't feel like it was like when people say it's like murder porn or revenge porn, I feel like that gives it like almost like those movies that came out in the early 2000s where it was literally just like these movies are made so that like the Human Centipede, so that we could just show you the most disgusting thing on the screen at all times. I don't feel like it was like that. I feel like the violence was like you'd go through these long stretches of dialogue and of exploring, and then there would be like really like these punches of really graphic violence, and that helped to cement how awful this stuff was, right? It's like I thought it was really well executed. It did what it was expecting to do. It was trying to do in a very effective way. I understand your problem with the end of the game for sure. I liked the end of the game better than you did because I really liked Ellie's kind of like struggle in those last final minutes. I found that to be fascinating, and I can't wait for a third game. Understand though, in the worst year on record since I don't know when, like this game came out at the worst possible time. I was pretty convinced I was just going to wait and not play it until like, I was in a better emotional state because it's a tough game to play. It's like right now I want to watch like comedy movies. I want to watch The Goonies. I want to watch fun stuff. And after I played this last night, I kind of, as a palate cleanser, I just went and played Yoshi's Island for a few hours. Just to like something happy and like loose and like fun. It's a hard time to play a game like this, and it's a really hard game. Like it's a hard story to tell, but I really appreciate how well they told it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's definitely one of those ones where I feel like if you, I still enjoyed it when I finished it, but I enjoyed it more like the second I finished it, my mentality was like, I enjoyed it, but you kind of could have just not had a sequel at all because it was almost like a weird circle of nothingness happened.
Yeah.
But then when I evaluated it more over the weeks, I was like, actually, I do really appreciate the story. So yeah.
I still feel like it's a weird circle of nothingness. Just a bunch of bad decisions strung together where they could have also like the context of it, again, having to travel across America for so many times for one specific person, and just the crazy things that had to line up for all those things to happen like that, to have this weird revenge spin on revenge on revenge on revenge. Yeah. I didn't like seeing Ellie become a destructive human being that was spiraling into complete and utter darkness.
Yeah, it was tough. It was real tough.
Didn't like it.
Yeah. There was the part where if she goes into the aquarium and she kills the dog, and then she kills Owen, and then she kills the woman, and then realizes the woman was pregnant. Like right there, I felt like that Ellie was going to have like the break. Like she was going to literally break at that moment. Like that was intense. And then in Abby's story, she traveled with that dog for her like half of the time she
played fetch.
And like you learn about Owen and you learn about Mel and how this love triangle between Abby and Owen, and how Mel is pregnant with Owen's kid, and like how they're planning on getting on this boat and going to Santa Barbara to go find the Firefly. Like, god damn, it was heart-wrenching. It was heart-wrenching, but it humanized like the people that you thought were the villains in such a cool way that you just don't see. Like so much of these stories are, this guy did a bad thing, we're gonna go kill him, and it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna explosions and shooting and action and muscles and.
I know what it is now. But so again, when you're playing as Abby, you get to the place where you have the knockdown drag out fight in the theater. Like I was on board all the way for that, but them going even further after that bottomed out the empathy that I had left as an audience member. For
Ellie,
for all the dumb decisions that were happening in the game. I guess that's what it was. It was like my tank had officially bottomed out, was empty by the end once Ellie was saying, I'm going back after her.
Maybe it just goes on a bit too long. Maybe they should have tightened up that ending to make, because I do think it's valuable what they did with Ellie right at the end. Like right at the end, the decision making of taking her off of the crucifix or like from being hung, following her to the boat, about to go on their separate paths, and like Ellie's just not being able to let it go. I do think that was valuable, but maybe like there was a way they could have tightened up that ending a little bit better.
Maybe in Last of Us 3, Abby will have to go back to get revenge, and then she'll be like, actually no. And then Ellie will be like, all right, my turn now. Let me go. And then
swear to God, man,
like constant back and forth. And you'll do that, but then it'll be for like 6 different chapters, and then at the end they'll just sit down and have tea, and they'll be like, all right, well, yeah.
Oh, crazy journey.
Turns out they poisoned each other's tea, and they both died at the same time. Great.
I also really loved how the characters were like really diverse, and like, I don't think it's a small thing that the main character of this game is a lesbian. And like a significant portion of the game is her relationship with I can't remember the girl's name.
Dina?
No. Yeah, Dina. And like I thought that was really interesting, and how Dina was pregnant with the guys, I can't remember names good, but like I liked how like what's that?
Jesse's his name, who's the father.
Yeah, Jesse. Like I thought that was really interesting. I just like that, it wasn't just like a straight white male as the hero, like in every other game. And like these people they felt like real people, and they were like there's more diversity to like the characters in this game than what you may be used to.
Yeah, absolutely.
She left her girlfriend. They had a beautiful farm. They had a baby.
They had a family.
That's sheep.
Bro, I wanted to say also, like, my problems with the story are nothing to do with the actual character development either, because or not character development, but the characters themselves, the interactions and the voiceover and the in-between writing that all of them had were brilliant.
Yeah.
Top notch.
Yeah. Even just secondary banter while you're just like wandering around, like, with side characters like Lev and his sister. Like I thought were just magnificent. Like just the stuff that's going on. Like you learn so much about these characters, and like at no point do you feel like, ooh, that voice acting's terrible. Like
no,
spectacular.
Yeah, it's all incredible. Yep.
It's a hard time to play this game. It's the worst possible time for a game this dark to come out. But man, even if you come back to it, I'm sure there's going to be a re-release on the PlayStation 5 that'll be 60 FPS and 4K. Like I highly recommend coming back to this game eventually, when we as a society are in a better mental place, because it's like I didn't think
there's no hope in this game.
There's no
zero.
hope.
It's just all dark.
No. It is
all dark and sad, which doesn't necessarily make it bad. It's just how I think portraying that kind of story where it is so dark the whole way through, you have to be even more careful with how you end up tying up ends and stuff. Because with hope, it's like, oh, there's hope, and then you can reach that hope, and then the story's done. But in a game where it's just dark, there's not really an ending, right? There's nothing that makes it better besides Ellie, like killing everybody, and then she'll probably at the end of that, she'll feel hollow and like it wasn't worth it, and then.
I mean, she comes home and she lost her ability to play guitar, which was her main connection to Joel. She lost her family, like everything. The very end of this game is as bleak as it can be for Ellie.
Yeah,
which is why I'm so convinced there's going to be a third one too.
Maybe the setting for number 3. Her 2 fingers grow back, but as like clicker fingers. And then it turns out that she's the leader of the clickers and she can control them all. And then in actual fact, she sets up a clicker colony, and then they just sit together and they have tea.
And they play guitar.
Yeah. And then Abby comes over and kills one of the clicker, and then she's like, you killed my family. Oh, here we go again.
Clickers are natural born rhythm sections too. Like just ready to go out of the gate.
True.
Well. There you go. Spoiler talk of Last of Us 2.
We did it.
We did it. That's the show. Also, we're running over time. Yeah.
That's the show.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. On that happy note.
Yeah.
I'm bummed out thinking about it.
But don't worry. Origami King is also coming out next month. That will give you
there you go.
The positivity you need.
Shout out to Yoshi's Island. Thank you, Nintendo.
Keeping it strong.
For making a game that looks like it was drawn in crayon.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that is the episode. Thank you very much for watching SideQuest.
SideQuest. Complete.
There you go. Episode number 54. Shout out to all of our Patreon members and our Twitch subscribers for supporting what we do here. You guys are amazing. And also shout out to everyone watching, whether live or YouTube or Spotify and all the places. We do appreciate all the support. If you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft. And you can catch out the VOD where I'm like, this game is garbage after playing Last of Us 2.
I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
And I'm Arix, and you can find me over on Twitter and YouTube at Arix or at Arix Gaming.
I'm Brian Rabbit, and you can find me playing the 1984 classic video game chronicling Tefty's life, Narc for the NES.
Oh my gosh! All right, that's the show, guys.
Came out in arcades too.
Did it really? Wow!
Yeah, I think it was a conversion.
Arcade version. We will see you next week for another side quest. Bye, everyone. Cheese.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.